At the time I'm recording this, Double Dragon 4 is going to launch in just a few short weeks. Is it gonna be good? Well, that's too early to tell really. But it seems like a good opportunity for me to talk about what is my favorite game in the series so far. And that game, as you've probably figured out from the title of this video, is Double Dragon Advance. I never got this game when it was first released back in 2002. From the name and the low-budget looking box art, I assumed that this was just another re-release of the original Double Dragon. And while it is in a very loose sense, this game is also so much more than that. I did definitely enjoy the original trilogy as well as Super Double Dragon on the Super Nintendo. All of those games had their own individual strengths, but they also all had their weaknesses. What Double Dragon Advance does is taking the best parts of all of those games while removing the worst parts, creating what could be seen as a sort of best of Double Dragon collection. Despite all that though, this is still not a direct port of any of the original games. Most of the levels are inspired by levels from the first two Double Dragon games, but they're still not direct copies. Meanwhile, the gameplay could be seen as a sort of mix between the original Double Dragon and Super Double Dragon. The controls themselves feel more akin to the original game, but you also get the expanded move and weapon selection from Super Double Dragon. This game, however, is much more fast-paced than any of the previous games in the series. I do mean this in the sense that the game moves faster, so none of that classic Double Dragon slowdown. But I also mean it in the sense that the game is a lot more intense. The old Double Dragon games rarely had more than 2 or 3 enemies on screen at once. However, in this one it's not rare to have 4 or 5 at once. And considering the small size of the Game Boy Advance screen, that can get really chaotic. Actually, one of my very few complaints with the game is that it can get a bit too chaotic at times. You're usually equipped to handle any situation the game throws at you, but there are definitely times when you can get overwhelmed. And even though you do have a block move, it seems to be pretty useless against most enemies, at least the ones you'd actually want to use it against. Another minor annoyance is that enemies are pushed back very slightly every time you hit them. Usually this is not a big problem, but sometimes it will result in the enemies being pushed back too far, and as a result you standing there punching in the air. But those are only minor complaints in an otherwise really excellent game. Like any good beat-em-up, there's of course also a multiplayer mode. Though being a Game Boy Advance game you'll need a link cable, and a friend who also has this game. That last part might actually turn out to be a bigger problem than you might expect though, because this game was published by Atlus. And you know what that means? Yep, limited production run. Now, this game isn't gonna cost you a fortune or anything, but it's definitely a lot more expensive than the average Game Boy Advance cartridge. Or if you can't find a friend to play with, you could always try the single-player Double Dragon mode, where you control both Bimmy and Jimmy at the same time and have to keep switching between them with the select button. Yeah, you're probably better off with the standard single-player mode. So yeah, Double Dragon Advance definitely comes highly recommended to fans of the series, or beat-em-ups in general. Who knows, maybe Double Dragon 4 will dethrone it as my favorite in the series. Hell, at least it can't be worse than Double Dragon 5. But no matter what the future might hold for the series, Double Dragon Advance remains a bona fide classic. Or maybe I should say an abobonafide classic.